Hi everyone, thank you for coming by. I am incandescent with rage. Rage against Stephen Lett. You know the nice friendly one, or that lovely brother with the rubbery face. This article proves emphatically that he is a liar, that he can directly look into the camera and lie at the rank and file members. This is the Philly Inquirer. They've been doing lots on Jehovah's Witnesses and the abuse problems. This is thanks to this reporter. He's been at this for months. David Gambacorta, really diligent. This guy is following up and not letting them get away with anything. So well done to the Philly Inquirer again. So you can see another awful headline. But this story does relate as well to Stephen Lett. The religions leaders call such accounts false stories. So there's the lassie who's bravely come forward. Chessa, her name is. Chessa Mannion. She was 5 and the boy was 14. So they introduced her to Stephen Lett, 69. I think he was older than that. Bald and round-faced, with eyes that sometimes spring open to dramatic effect while he's talking, if you can manage to get an audience with him. Much of the last 2 decades, small number governing body. Okay. And how their voices are usually absent from media coverage. But they bring up in 2015, Lett did come out and say on this now infamous piece of broadcasting, which I shall play later, he said he must reject false stories. All right. The apostate-driven lies and dishonesties. The Jehovah's organization is permissive towards pedophiles. But I can't get through those lines without seeing him licking his lips so strangely. I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? If anyone takes action against someone who would threaten our young ones and takes action to protect our young ones, it is Jehovah's organization. You have to screw up your eyes at the end. But as Stephen Lett said that, he knew he was lying. So, this Kentucky woman, the top leaders, they do know, which we know they know, but it's nice to have the positive proof. She's 29 and asking for laws to be strengthened, and she has a letter from Stephen Lett to back her up. So Manny and this family, when they moved, Tim had been the father. Her father had been recruited by Lett when he was a young man and happened to buy a Chevrolet Corvair from Lett at an old barn lot nearby. Well, a governing body member having been a used car salesman? No, surely not. So they moved the house and another family of witnesses, and in those days you had no reason at all not to trust that they were decent. So the daughter went for a sleepover, bring him back next day. But something was wrong. There's the direct link there to Simplice Lettius. They saw that something was wrong with the daughter. Something was wrong with the daughter. So the daughter showed, using her toy, what had happened. And it was with the 14-year-old, the son of where she was staying. Went to the doctor. The doctor was mandated by the court to report what had happened, because the doctor said, yeah, it has happened. And gave them 7 days otherwise to contact police, otherwise he would indeed. So the dad, the father of the teen, met up, and the boy confessed. Where is a boy at 14 getting these ideas from? What had happened to him, I wonder. But I don't know. It's not normal, is it? Unless someone's been initiated some way, you wouldn't think that, surely, would you? I don't think so. So, they're talking about the system of contacting legal department, and then they mention the two witness rule. So Lisa Mannion, who's the mother, still a witness, said some congregation members discouraged them from reporting the crime. There were friends of both families that felt if we would just make peace with this and each other, that we wouldn't have to go to the authorities, she said in a recent interview. However, we had brothers from Chicago telling us, good for these brothers, well done, Jehovah will protect his own name. Yep, he's big enough to protect his own name. He don't need a little 5-year-old to be raped to do it. Sorry, I went off again. You do what you have to do to take care of your daughter. Good for them. So father went to the Mason County Sheriff's Department and went to the state attorney. His daughter's still confused about what happens next, which is very understandable. She's 5. How could she keep up with it? So this guy, Alan Tucker, so I guess he would be, what do you call them? The state attorney? He remembered this case particularly, and he's now a judge. So, yep, the boy admitted to the police as well. He said the parents of each of the children downplayed the incident, trying to portray it as children being exploratory. They did not want to pursue charges. He puzzled over what he described as the Mannions' reluctance to see their daughter's abuser prosecuted. I know they were from a non-traditional religion, he said. I laid out the options as to how we could proceed and allowed them, for the most part, to direct me on how they wished to go. Lisa Mannion, as the mother, disputed Tucker's recollection. We did not downplay anything, she said. We wanted to make sure that the word rape was used as a description of what happened. We only wanted to protect Chesa. She said they were advised by Tucker that their daughter might have to undergo additional examinations and testify in court against the teen. They worried the experience would traumatize her a second time. He steered Tim out of pursuing a court case, Lisa Mannion said. So instead of taking the case to court, Tucker said he arranged a no-contact agreement that prohibited the teen from interacting with Chesa or other small children. Both received counselling, but the teen was not required to complete a sex offender evaluation. Had the case been successfully prosecuted, Tucker said, the teen could have ended up on probation until he was 21 and been registered as a sex offender. Tucker said that he kept a copy of the case files in his personal records because he worried that the teen might reoffend. He dug out the files after being contacted by the Inquirer and Daily News. Since you called me, he said, it's really bothered me. Mannion said her parents faced pressure from witness elders who urged them to speak more delicately and not use the word rape when discussing what she had experienced. Her father called the Watchtower's headquarters in Brooklyn and described how she'd been abused at a sleepover, she recounted. Wait for this, only to be chided by an official who said, "Well, Brother Mannion, do you see how you contributed to this?" It's always everyone's fault, isn't it? Always someone else's. I'm sure father was feeling guilty enough, quite honestly. The fallout from the rape spread through the family like a disease. Yeah, it's another thing, isn't it? Yeah, how it affects everyone, you know. Shortly after her father reported the incident to police, he shared Chesa's ordeal with her grandparents and aunts and uncles at a family gathering in the Ozarks in Missouri. It was a very bad night, said Debbie Mannion Ford, her aunt. A horrible night. There's a picture of Chesa there. This is after a rally calling for the elimination of Pennsylvania's statutes of limitations on child sex abuse cases. Very important. that needs to be adopted everywhere. As the family absorbed the awful news, their horror turned to outrage. Chester's father was the only member of the family who was a witness, and his relatives had long been skeptical of the organisation. We were like, how can you stay in this? Ford said. Tim just said, well, the witnesses are going to take care of this, but they tried to bury it. So how is that giving a good witness? You see, so by burying it, you keep bringing reproach upon Jehovah's name, if that's going to be your bottom line excuse. Not long afterward, Chessa Mannion said she found herself with her parents at the home of her abuser and his family. I was made to hug him, he said, because the elders told our families that we needed to keep the peace. She paused to underscore the horror of the scene. She's only a little girl then. I hugged my rapist after he raped me. The experience took a terrible toll on the little girl, Ford said. Chessa got really dark. The family tried to leave the trauma behind by moving to another congregation 1,400 miles away in Arizona. My parents received a lot of opposition even though I was only 5, Chessa said. I was marked as dirty. She dropped out of school at 14 and became a pioneer witness who spends more than 70 hours a month on missionary work. I tried to be a good example and show that my dedication to Jehovah would not waver, she said. But I didn't get any psychological counseling. My PTSD became very bad. So you see what happens, people try this, we get this story again, they don't just necessarily run off and go, well, now I hate you all. There she is, trying to do the right thing. 14 leaving school to do that. I can't believe that was allowed. Goodness. Sorry, here we go. As she grew older, Mannion became disillusioned with the religion. She'd never gotten a GED because she'd been so influenced by witnesses' rhetoric about the end of the world being nearly at hand. She got married at 20, and when the relationship faltered, other witnesses encouraged her to become more submissive. We know that one, don't we? Mannion learned that her abuser, meanwhile, still attended services and was still around children. But he never faced criminal charges, a fact that gnawed at her. I had no closure of validation, she said. It was like the whole thing floated away. When told about Mannion's despair, Tucker, the judge, grew quiet. I would feel the same way if I was her, he said. There you go. Now, here we get to Mr. Lett, under the heading Wicked Mistreatment. In 2002, after Tim Mannion saw a Dateline special about child abuse and Jehovah's Witnesses, he contacted his old acquaintance, Stephen Lett. Much had changed in the decades since they first met. Lett had ascended to the top of the watchtower, while Mannion and his family were haunted by their memories of his daughter's rape. It destroyed my brother and his wife and Chessa's life, Debbie Mannion Ford said. They could never get past it. In an anguished 5-page letter, Tim Mannion told Lett about his daughter's ordeal and how their family was rejected by other witnesses who had learned about it. Yep, we hear that as well, don't we? The victim gets marked. The victim gets shunned. The victim gets discriminated against. The victim is unsupported. The victim is blamed. Idiots. Most of the people we have told over the years have shunned us. Wow, such a loving organisation, isn't it? So much love. Where else can you go to receive so much love? Where else? So this is the copy of the letter his daughter shared. Some even thought and said openly to others that we must have done something to deserve this. Right, I'm stopping this. Hang on. Goddamn stinkers. Mannion appealed to Lett to rethink the witness's approach to child, here we go, sex abuse allegations, including the 2-witness rule. But don't forget, of course, her abuser actually did confess, as many others have done. Still nothing's done. Elders were ill-equipped to handle rape crimes such as serious as rape and sexual assault, he wrote. He argued that such matters He reported directly to... He argued that such matters be reported directly to law enforcement. This is not a religious situation, he wrote. Governing body members like Lett rarely communicate directly with rank and file followers. There she is again, Chessa. But on June 4th, 2002, Lett wrote back. While it was painful to read about the terrible ordeal that you and Lisa and Chessa had to go through, he wrote, it was so good to hear how you have stayed close to Jehovah and endured faithfully. Well, it's a bit of a wonder, isn't it, that they've stayed close, considering how they've been shunned. Shunned for what? For what? Because someone enacted a heinous crime and assault against a 5-year-old. Oh, let's all shun the family. This is not an isolated case. Lett referred to Chessa's rape as a wicked mistreatment. How about a wicked rape, eh? How about that, Lett? A wicked and criminal rape. But didn't address any of the urgent points Mannion raised. Let that sink in. Lett quoted scripture and bid his old friend well. 13 years later, in the 2015 video, Lett's words were far different. He confidently denounced the abuse allegations that dogged the organisation as apostate-driven lies. So, who's lying? Who's lying, Stephen? Oi, you. Who's lying? You. You're lying. You look in the camera. You look in the camera, and you lie. Look at that. This guy that you were the one who brought him in. He went to you because you were top brass by then. He went to you, told you his concerns, told you what isn't working. Yeah, you did right back. But you ignored. You didn't take those points bit by bit. Did you act? Did you act to say, hey, look, congregations, don't shun someone who's been raped? Because you couldn't, could you? Because in the Elders book, there's actually instructions for how to disfellowship someone who has been raped. Liar. Lett did not respond to a request for comment. Of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. Watchtower spokesperson declined to participate in an interview. Of course they did. Of course they did. Let's send an overview of the organisation's policies, which you've all read and which are all hogwash. Elders do not criticise anyone who chooses to make such a report, it reads in part. But if an elder does it, of course, we will delete them like we did to the Irish brothers last year. Just last year we went from head office in England, we went to the Republic of Ireland, and we deleted the elders who reported a child abuser to police. You liars. You're all liars, man. So Chessa is trying to pursue the closure she felt she was long ago denied. Illinois has eliminated the statute of limitations. Yes, yes. So I'm a bit confused about this. Gave victims until the 38th birthday to file a report with police. So Mannion hopes she can have a voice in what happens next. Very brave, man. Unlike that when she was a little girl and an ordinary sleepover. How many of us didn't go, went to sleepovers as kids, Didn't expect any of this rubbish. Turned into a life-altering nightmare. People in that religion are taught to remain silent, she said, and that's what needs to change. There you go. So they've got links there to the other stories. Well done, that lady. Well done, that woman. Claiming back her life and helping others into the bargain, which is really good. Very good. Thank you again to this reporter for doing what he keeps doing with these. David again McCorter, and to the Philly Inquirer, and now the moment you've always all been waiting for, Stephen Lett. Lovely. So here's Stephen Lett. Remember, as he says this, he knows that someone he brought into the corporation, he knows what's happened to the daughter, how the family are being shunned for being a victim, and he knows that he's not answered his friends' ideas and suggestions and queries about what should happen. So here we are. Go on, Stephen, you tell us what you know. Go on.
Another way we can contribute to the oneness, rejecting false stories that are designed to separate us from Jehovah's organization. As an example, think about the apostate-driven lies and dishonesties that Jehovah's organization is permissive toward pedophiles. I mean, that is ridiculous, isn't it? If anybody takes action against someone who would threaten our young ones and takes action to protect our young ones, it's Jehovah's organization. We reject outright such lies.
You!
Another example, not falling into the trap of fear of man.
You liar!